We gotta get the hell off this planet. Welcome to Combat Uplink, presented by Matlock's Fight Talk.
Dong starting to leak a little bit.
UFC 324 is in the books, and the Paramount era has begun. It was a mixed bag of fights in terms of quality and entertainment, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, let's talk about the most glaring takeaway: advertisements. A ton of them. And for some people, this was a surprise. For me, not so much. There's two reasons for that. Number one, Paramount spent a ton of money. And number two, it tells you that when you sign up, that on either tier, live sporting events are going to have advertisements. So if you know anything about the UFC, you already know they monetize everything they can. And now that we've added Paramount to the mix, they have their ad inventory that they need to fill. And that being said, it completely sucked. It sucked! Now, I figured we probably wouldn't see walkouts, at least until the main card. But all the way to the co-main? And what's the point of showing the fighter in the corner if you're going to slap an ad next to them and drown out the audio? It didn't help that the show had tons of filler and fluff because of canceled fights too, which isn't really their fault. The show rolled on. And if I had to guess, I don't see the volume of ads changing much. Maybe they'll try to make them less intrusive and just slip them in casually. Kind of like the Truman Show.
Who you talking to? This is the best.
Okay, so there were tons of advertisements. Blink 182. Now, I have nothing against Blink 182 or Travis Barker, but it was way too much. And maybe it's just me, it probably is, but Blink and some of the promos just didn't mix right. After a while, I just wanted to see Arnold Allen fight. But instead, I had to watch Travis get into an octagon and play drums, and it wasn't even live.
Beats. You can hear them everywhere.
The fights. I enjoyed the fights overall. It was a strong Paramount debut. Ty Miller, Hokit, Perez. Those were fun fights, strong fights to start the card, despite Hokit acting like an absolute goon post-fight. But it's good to see heavyweight moving in a slightly positive direction, I suppose, in terms of quality of opposition or quality of contenders. It's still completely awful. I didn't pick Alex Perez to win, but that one felt kind of like a pick'em to me. I picked Nikita Krylov to defeat Modestas because I don't understand Modestas' style. Nikita's always moving. Nikita, it always seemed, was on the verge of getting knocked out, so it felt tense. But ultimately, it's a fight that doesn't really matter. But it is nice to see Nikita still getting victories in the UFC. I had no expectations for Atiba other than I picked him to win. It's a middleweight fight, and Atiba could be a light heavyweight, if not a heavyweight. And kudos to Andre, because he survived that first round and he recovered very well. And the rest of the knockdowns just seemed like the momentum of the punch put him off balance as he was moving away, rather than actually rocking him. Although he was certainly rocked a couple of times. But in the end, I did score that fight for Andre. But I'm not going to complain about robbery or anything. I enjoyed this fight. It was a fun one. Umar Nurmagomedov fought. So that's something that happened. And this is where the Paramount kickoff video started. And it was great. Nothing mind-blowing, but it was thoughtful. It was very well put together. I like how that they draped the octagon to display the video. I like that they went through the highlights of its inception from the beginning. And the War Pig song was a good choice. And this led into what I think was the best fight of the evening, which was Arnold Allen versus Jean Silva. And I picked Allen to win despite my better judgment, but I think he made a good account of himself. But it was a good styles matchup, and they were relevant fighters in this division. So I'm excited to see what's next for both guys. I'm pretty high on Jean Silva, although he certainly has an interesting style and things to work on. Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas was another fight that had happened on the card. Now, I picked Silva initially, up until Rose was walking out and getting into the octagon, then I switched my pick. And my feeling was that she was going to be in control of the range better than Silva. And listen, I'm not dying on any hill for this, but I did score it for Rose, rounds 1 and 2, and Silva got the third. A forgettable fight, nothing that I'm going to complain about again in regards to the scorecards. So there you go, another fight that happened. Back to the heavyweights, Waldo and Derek Lewis. I also want to say pretty forgettable. I mean, Derek Lewis just could not find what he was looking for in this fight and what he was trying to create happen. Waldo just walked away from. And in that, it seemed he kind of slipped and just kind of gave up. Looked old. And when you're old and in a sport that you don't really have a lot of passion for, and you're just kind of there for a check, I guess it's easy to turtle up and get tapped out or knocked out. Going into that fight, honestly, I was not too excited about it. It's like, oh, it's the heavyweights, it's the Black Beast, he's got all these knockouts. But sometimes his fights can be super lackluster. Like, he can go a whole 5 rounds. Nothing happens for long stretches of time. Heavyweight is awful. And it was a terrible fight. But nonetheless, Waldo will make for some interesting matchups in the future. So that is a positive. Now, up until this point, we haven't seen any walkouts or corner work, so it was nice to finally get a break and enjoy the walkouts because personally I enjoy them, especially for the main card. It makes it feel bigger. Now, I scored this fight for Sean O'Malley, but again, not dying on that hill. Now, in real time, I felt like O'Malley was missing something. I'm not sure if anybody else felt this way. He had a good performance, and Yudong was coming out pretty strong, but in real time, at least in the first and second round, I just felt like he was missing that extra step, the gas pedal, and maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was just my perception of it, but it just seemed uninspired. It just seemed like a very simulated MMA fight to me. And I scored it for Sean O'Malley as well. So, I don't know. Both of them need that extra thing, I think. Sean O'Malley is... I don't know if his heart is in the game, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm curious to see where his song goes from here. Okay, so the main event. Walkouts. Patty's walkout was awesome. Like, the production from the UFC and Paramount, it really came through the broadcast, in my opinion. Whatever you think about Patty's song, it gets the crowd involved. And Patty's dancing on the way out, which we know can be a terrible thing for any fighter to maybe expend too much energy, but Patty looked good. Now, the contrast between Patty's walkout and Justin Gaethje's walkout reminded me sort of like Conor McGregor's walkout and then Chad Mendes' walkout. Now, those were live performances, but Conor's had so much what felt like energy in a moment behind Conor. And then Chad Mendes comes out to just, like, why does America always have to, like, side with the country music? I know it's Aaron Lewis from Stain. Anyways, okay, so if you don't know, Justin Gaethje comes out to a song called Standing Outside the Fire by Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks, separately, is a complete psychopath, but nonetheless, Standing Outside the Fire, during its time, was a pretty big hit. But the music video, I remember seeing as a kid, and it always stuck with me. It's kind of a strange video in terms of production. Garth Brooks standing outside the fire, there's tons of fire, they're zooming in on him with flames kind of around him, and he's got this intense look. But the whole premise behind this short film of a music video is a kid with Down syndrome wanting to run track. His parents are kind of conflicted about whether or not he should, and he ends up doing it. When he's running in the big race, he trips and falls and he's like bleeding out on the ground. They just think their son is dead. The father comes running out onto the track, screams at everybody not to touch his son. Kid is just bleeding out of his face, but then kid just gets up and sprints away like absolutely nothing happened, and he finishes the race and everybody celebrates it. And essentially what the whole video is saying through this very dramatic film is that if you're always protecting yourself, or if somebody's always protecting you, and they don't allow you to go out and experience life, you don't really live. So standing outside the fire, staying safe, avoiding risk, that kind of thing. I guess Justin Gaethje really vibes with that. I mean, it makes sense, but I just think Garth Brooks is an insane person. So both of them get into the fire, you can say. They both beat the absolute shit out of each other. I just remember thinking the entire time, well, I picked Justin Gaethje to win, first of all. I thought he was gonna knock him out, maybe second round. Like the ref is gonna see enough and he's gonna call the fight off. And they just beat the absolute shit out of each other. Patty got beat the shit out of way more. Way more. But wow, I was not expecting, honestly, for Patty to last that long. And I kind of wonder how are you gonna be after that? Is that the kind of war that he should be in? Now, I remember Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler, and Rory never really was the same after that. So I don't know how this is gonna fare for him. Patty, I thought, despite being younger, and he looked in really good shape, and he's the bigger guy, and he kicks a lot, and despite, his awful technique throwing punches, he can still throw, he's still probably gonna land on Justin Gaethje, because Gaethje gets hit a lot too. But the difference is like, if Gaethje's will and his chin holds up, which I thought would against Paddy Pimblett, Gaethje would just end up landing. Like, there'd be an exchange of shots, but Gaethje would be the one still standing. And that, for the most part, was true. The only problem was that Paddy just kept getting up. And Gaethje didn't look all that good either. Like, Paddy was not fighting the Gaethje that we know. Gaethje still put on the highlight performance, and he still was himself, but he was slower, he was more labored, his punches came much slower, but I mean, he still has pop on him. But he didn't look good, and I don't know, I think it's a combination of both. Potentially that staff, and then his age. It's probably both. So, I don't know. Coming away from this, I don't see them winning their next fight, assuming they're both going to be matched up with the top in the division. But we'll see. Gaethje certainly, I don't think he wins his next fight. But yes, overall, a pretty fun card. It felt like a pay-per-view, but with way more advertisements, but we're going to have to get used to that. Again, I do think they will try to make them less intrusive, but I do believe we're not going to get less ads. If anything, they're going to just try to find a way to work in more. I don't know if they're going to do more like Ghostface Killer in person type of ads where they just weave it into real life like the Truman Show. Turnaround time, UFC 325 this weekend. And I'm going to be in another galaxy, so I don't think I'm going to get a video out in time. And also, what is that main event? I feel the same way about this rematch as I did the first time. The only difference is like, has Diego taken the time to learn how to cut off a cage? Is he going to learn the skills necessary to beat Volk? And does he, once again, even need that? Can he find the punch again and knock out? Like, is Volk going to be able to take the punches that come his way in the second time? It's the same thing. I'm picking Volkanovski again, as I did in the first fight, with the same trepidation as I did before. But that does it for me, Captain Matlock. Thank you for tuning in to the Combat Uplink. I'll catch you in the next one. I didn't even talk about John Silva jumping on Arnold Allen's back. And everybody keeps talking about and making reference to the Silver Surfer and the surfing and all that, but I haven't seen anybody talk about the jump itself. That was the most bitch jump ever, with his arms flailing out like he's a ballerina. Like, his jump wasn't very masculine at all. It reminds me of like Mad TV with that grown man-child, and he'd always go, "Look what I can do." That's what it reminds me of. 0 out of 10 jump. If you're gonna jump off somebody's back, do a front flip or something.